Hello, I'm Johnny, and today we have Mr. Gabriel Young. So we met when we were at the Bid Summit, and we was kind of talking a little bit. He shared his story with me, so I said, this is a great story to get to the audience. So I would recommend that you stay for the whole episode to hear Mr. Gabriel's story. So, Gabriel, can you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Gabriel Young. I come from North Carolina, born in Pontiac, Michigan, but raised in North Carolina. I pretty much stayed there for most of my school life, and then I ended up joining the Navy. And at the age of 21, stayed in the Navy for 4 years initially. And because I figured that it'd be a quick 4 years, and I'd never forget it, but I ended up staying in that thing for 22 years to retire. I just retired. I just retired in the Navy now I'm looking at it almost a year now, October 31st last year. And I ended up meeting Mr. Johnny at a YouTube summit. And so here I am retired in Texas, and currently right now I am a full-time YouTuber. So
yes, you are.
A quick synopsis of my life, very small,
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it was a pleasure meeting you at Bid Summit there, and after we started talking, and it's like, man, this is a great story. I think this can encourage some viewers out there on your story. So let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
So you said before you joined the Navy, did you have any clue that you was going to join the Navy when you first joined?
No, to be honest, the funny story, my Navy recruiter used to come to our high school, and I was a big athlete back then. And I was like, I'm not going to the military. He kept asking me to take this ASVAB. And I was like, no way, no how. I'm not going to the military. I'm going to the NBA. You can scratch that. I'm be professional, So funny story, a good friend of mine came back from the from Air Force boot camp, and was like, hey, G, I'm here visiting. Can you come do the ASVAB for me? I get credit. I get a ribbon for all the people I get for doing the ASVAB. And I was just, since they're a good friend of mine, I said, I'd do it. I took the ASVAB, scored pretty high on it. And so then they was like, oh, we're going to, you should join the Air Force. And I was like, no, I just did it for a friend. And then long story short, as I had got out of high school, graduated, I tried to go, I went to college and realized that I was a little bit height challenged to pursue my NBA career. And that ASVAB score was still sitting there. And so, your boy was like, well, I don't think I'm gonna make it to the league. And there I went going to the Navy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about before you went to the Navy. Did you have any financial background or anything with money?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, coming from where I was raised, my family, none of my family went to college except my mom, but she went to and got her associates, but she never finished anything. So coming up, we always seemed to move from house to house, and just a struggling type situation where, financially we wasn't stable. And my uncle and aunt, however, was very financially stable. So I got to see both sides of the world of what it was to be successful by having an education and having a good job, and what it is to be successful but not having a strong education, but having a decent job. And so I got to see both sides of the spectrum from my aunt perspective, because they helped raise me, as well as my mother obviously raised me as well. And so just seeing how successful what going to school and getting good grades could turn out for you. So that's pretty much how my childhood was. And I just knew that education, because that's what my aunt was preaching to me, was to go to school, get a good education and get a good job. And this what it will basically turn out. And so that's just what my goals were, to get a good education and get a good job, because I didn't want to struggle.
Yeah. It's funny. I think a lot of us don't want to struggle.
No.
But when we first start off in life, sometimes we're not sure, depending on your family, you're not sure how to go about not struggling, because that's what you've seen, right? And if you don't see both sides of the spectrum like you did, then you won't have really. You got to kind of. I say life has a fun way to train you, right? Eventually, you might see it. Or eventually, somebody might run across your path. But yeah, you're right. So once you got into the military, were you good with your finances at the beginning? How did that work out for you?
No.
Even
But
after seeing your aunt, even after seeing your aunt,
yeah, my
them,
aunt did a good job of telling me about going to school and whatnot, but they didn't show me about how to budget. So
oh,
here comes the first lesson to learn about budgeting, folks. So true story. Coming in the military, I was basically spending willy nilly. It was just me at the time, and so just before I joined the military, I ended up having a son, and so that was the determination for me to get on my feet, because I figured I had to get on my feet a little bit easier than going to school, because my family was against me going to the military, but I knew that I didn't want to struggle. During my childhood, I worked at a food line and met a lot of people who had degrees, and they was management. And they was telling me how hard it was, even with a degree, to get a job. So that changed the perspective. I decided to join the Navy. My mother, like I said, was against it. Our whole family was, for the most part, but I just knew I had to get on my feet. So once I did join the Navy, I wasn't taught how to budget. And
mm,
the real factors was that I was spending more than I was making. So I was just literally living check to check, to be honest. And with that comes with the fact that bills are inevitable. And so, not having a savings, not knowing, not investing, I just was, how can I say, being young, and in the Navy back then, they had some mentorship programs, but you just sit there and just take it for granted. They're not talking to me because I'm not hurting. I'm able to get my check. I'm not blowing it all every weekend, but every other weekend it was gone. So, just throughout my Navy career, I just didn't have any real financial goals. I just was literally working to live. I mean, the beginning start, at least first 10 years in the Navy, that's pretty how much I was living.
well, and you mentioned something that was pretty, pretty good. You said budgeting. So a lot of us don't think a budget is important, right? We just
Right.
kind of like you said, we'll get our check and
For sure.
we're paycheck to paycheck, and this as long as we got money, we figure we're good, right?
That's the
Um,
way it was.
yeah. So how did you learn about budgeting once you figured you didn't have that like skill set at the beginning?
So another true story, like the Navy is my life, right? I grew up in this thing. Like I said, 10 years been in the Navy. At the time, I was stationed in San Antonio, and at that particular moment, I was one of the number one sailors to command. And senior chief stopped me after I had a PT session with some of our sailors, and he asked me what was my plans on for the rest of the Navy. And I told him that, with this deal, heck, I could do 20 years and I could retire. And he was like, "Oh, for real?" I was like, "Yeah, just as long as I stay here for 20, that's the end goal." And he was like, "Well, do you have a savings?" I was like, yeah. And he looked at me like kind of strange, like the way I said it. I guess at the end of the day, people who are successful know when you're really being able to be transparent about if you have anything. So I told him, "Yeah, I got a savings." He was like, "Really? How much you got in there?" And I was like, "A couple of $1,000. And he looked at me, he was like, "No, you don't." And which he called my cards because I was a young E5 sailor and I really didn't have no money at the time. And he explained to me that the rate I'm going, that I'm the number one sailor at the command, but I have bad finance. And I was like, "What are you talking about? 20 years and I'm retired." He said, "At that rate that you're going, because you have no savings, you have no property, you own nothing, you're not going to have anything at the end to celebrate, to even show you the worth of what you've done." So I sat and listened. So the guy really sat down with me for an hour, man, and it was probably the best financial education I ever had. And I can't think of the guy's name. I wish I can. I just don't remember he's a senior chief. He came out of nowhere. You know how they say angels come out of nowhere? I
Yeah.
honestly think that it was an angel for me, because that was an awakening call. And that guy changed my whole career. I wish I could name that man, because he really changed my perspective of what success is. Because I thought really, truly what I was doing was successful, but that had a dead end, and that was not going to get me to where I wanted to go. So he poured into me like no one other, who took the time out and really sat me down and really told me about what financial wealth is and how to make your money work for yourself. And he gave me some books to read. And that's what a lot of people don't get, is books, and know how powerful they really are, and just to read them. And so the senior chief told me basically that I need to leave the country because I was up for orders. Go to Bahrain because I told him that's one of my options. Go read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad and the Napoleon Hill, The Millionaire Next Door. And so something compelled me to take him up on that deal. And basically that's what it did. I went to Bahrain. I read those 2 books and sheesh, the light switch came on. Financial freedom came on at that point. And a quick story is just that I knew at that point what it is to have assets and liability and where I needed to take my career for the next step. So that was at the 10-year mark of my Navy career is when my life transitioned. So at that point, I was about 28 years old.
Wow. So, so just imagine. So you say this senior chief you ran across by, we always say, you say by coincidence, but that was no coincidence because I truly believe when God has somebody that come across your path, that person's going to come across your path and impart wisdom to you. So he departed some financial wisdom to you.
Yes.
And you didn't just blow it off, but you listened to what he had to say.
Yes.
And because you listened, your whole life transitioned to something totally different.
Yes.
And so first thing is, audience, I want y'all to hear what happened at the beginning. No financial literacy, no wisdom when it came to finances, paycheck to paycheck, no budget. So, and then throughout his first 10 years of the military, you just kind of spin.
Fast come, easy go.
Fast come, easy go. So, audience, in the comment section, please leave any comments that you think. If you are in that situation where you don't have a budget, or if you don't know what financial freedom is, leave a comment in the comment section. So that's an opportunity here because we can just respond back and kind of just provide some feedback on that. And so, Gabriel, also, so we got past the senior chief, you in Bahrain, you read the 2 books. Now from there, what happened?
Okay. From that point, after I read those books, the light switch moment kicked in. I immediately called my wife and told her that we're buying a house. And she was like, "Excuse me?"
Well, let's hold up. You said buying a house. Why did you choose to do that?
Oh, thank you, Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, property, assets. So at that time, Robert Kiyosaki preaches about property and buying things. So at that point, I just knew that I had owned nothing. One of my best friends in the world already had called me and he had bought a house. And I really didn't think nothing of it, but he bought a house already. And I was like, that's pretty cool. But I didn't understand the reason he bought the house, but he was already on that road of prosperity. I was just trying to, oh, that's cool. My best friend bought a house, good luck. I appreciate it. But after reading those books, man, I called my wife and I was on it. I said, I'm leaving Bahrain in a year. She's in Hawaii, by the way. So she's like, are you serious? I said, when I get back home, we're buying a house. She really wanted to buy a condo, but I was adamant. I was like, it's not going to happen. As much as I would like the condos, they're cool, but we need to buy property, need to own something. Literally got back to Hawaii and I wasn't there a month. I was in the house looking for a property. And again, my wife always say I'm blessed and highly favored. And I tend to take that. I usually kid her about it and poke fun at her, but I honestly have to take a serious look that I have been fortunate. The decisions that I choose do somehow work out for me. And that's just really, really what it is. So we in Hawaii, I bought a house. I want to go buy a house. And so I'm out there looking at houses and I end up getting a house in a neighborhood. And the house at the time was worth $400,000. It was like $460,000. This is our first house. My wife was kind of scared. I was a little bit nervous, but I'm not going to say I wasn't. But we bought this house for $400,000. We ended up closing for like $480,000. That's our first house. I didn't realize the neighborhood I bought this house in. Apparently I bought this house in $1 million neighborhood. So this is again ignorance on fire. So this is me again just making decisions, and this is where things work out. So I bought this house in 2013.
Yeah.
And that was our first house. I mean, amazing. The process worked. Yeah, I bought it, and the cool thing is it became a rental property at the end. So now, I really don't know what to say from there. Really, it is speechless because that basically $500,000 house is now worth over $1.8 million.
So, okay, so let's right. So let's back up a little bit. Because you took the time to read and gain some knowledge,
Yes.
you knew that you needed to get some assets. So immediately you bought the house in Hawaii, which is, by the way, property in Hawaii is very expensive. I mean, if
Yes.
you live in Hawaii, you know it's expensive over there.
Yes.
But you was able to get property in Hawaii that you
Yes.
purchased.
Yes.
That was what, 500,000 now worth 1.8 million, you said?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So now you're renting. Wow. So now
I can't make this stuff up, man.
right.
Like,
So I think it's good to say right now, if you're listening to this, the key thing is if you don't own a piece of property, it's key to do that. As you hear what Gabriel said, he didn't own anything, right? But there's one piece of property that he purchased now was 500,000, now worth 1.8 million. How you make that up, right? And you're saying like, wow, who would have known?
again, just I always just chuck it up as luck, but my wife always tell me, "You're blessed and highly favored dude. The things you just do stuff and it just work out for you." I'm like, I guess, I'm really modest about it, but I guess, but true, and I do, I just take things in a logical perspective. I just kind of pray about certain things. I'm like, yo, if this is a good move, please, give me something to make me feel comfortable about it. And if it is, in my heart, I feel like that should work, then I pretty much go with my instinct, just because I've read a lot of quotes of millionaire people like Warren Buffett saying that if he listened to other people's decisions, he wouldn't be as wealthy as he was. And if he hears something that he likes, and he'll take a chance on it. So that was my first investment. And then my second investment was Bitcoin. So
tell us a little bit about that. Bitcoin market.
I'm a gamer, and one of my best friend's sons.
Oh look, he's a gamer on YouTube. So
Yes,
he's a gamer on YouTube.
I'm a streamer now, but at that time I was playing World of Warcraft. One of my good friends, and his son was really into technology, and he was trying to convince me to make a, what they call these things, a Bitcoin machine where you basically mine, a crypto miner. And I was like, no, I don't want to make one of those, And like I said, at the time, I was still into really investing because I just bought my house. I just got an LLC. I had started to build up my portfolio. I just started investing in some more stocks. And his son was like, you need to get a Bitcoin miner. And I was like, can I just buy Bitcoin? Because what is a Bitcoin? Oh, it's a cryptocurrency. I was like, oh, Lord Jesus, is it real money? And so he was like, no, it's digital money. I was like, oh, monopoly money? I don't want no monopoly money. And so for months, he just kept bugging me about looking into this cryptocurrency. So I looked into it, and one of the guys that I was working with, because I had just got my LLC and I started trying to create an app on iTunes. He was a programmer of mine, and he was paying his rent with Bitcoin to the owner. And I was like, you really use that too? He's like, oh yeah, Bitcoin's cool. It's a cryptocurrency. And I was like, so that really caught my eye that my programmer was using it. So there I took more of a serious look at it. And at that time, Bitcoin was like $500 a coin. 1,000. It was like $1,000. And so I was like, well, listening to Warren Buffett, you listen to an idea and it sounds good, and you believe in it, why don't you go for it? So I honestly was like, you know what? I got some extra money. I buy a coin. So for Christmas, I bought my wife a Bitcoin.
How did she take that?
She was like, oh, you bought me what? That's how I sold it. I was like, baby, here's your Christmas gift. Here's a Bitcoin. So I had a Coinbase app on my phone. I was like, here's the Bitcoin. And I showed her it on the thing on the phone. I was like, this is a Christmas present. Don't worry, it's just an investment. You'll love it. And so she was like, oh, okay, I guess. What was it? almost 5 years later, Bitcoin was $20,000. And I was sitting around the house and the news goes flash, Bitcoin is worth $20,000. And we were sitting in an apartment. Now, I'm sorry to go back on the story. We had got transferred from Hawaii, so we rented our house out. So our house is rented, and we're sitting in Virginia. And I was like, my wife had just got pregnant with our second kid, and we was looking to move, and this hall, and so we're looking to get a 3-bedroom apartment, but they wanted like 2,500 for the, I mean, 2,500 for this apartment. I was like, you crazy? I might as well get a house because my rent could be that cheap. I mean, that same amount. Because at this point, I'm like, no way. So the news come off, hey, Bitcoin hit $20,000 a coin. And I was like, what in the world? And so what I did was I went on Coinbase and see what this coin was because I had forgot about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I forgot that we even had the dang on thing. I log in and that thing is 21 something $1,000. If you want to see someone, you want to see a grown man cry. That was my second investment ever in life. And I'm amazed. And so I cashed out, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I cashed that thing out, took that $20,000. My wife was like, and the thing is, I didn't tell my wife I cashed because she forgot about it herself. So I cashed that thing out, but I was like, we need to go get a house. And she was like, what? We can't afford a house. Yeah, we can. And I forgot to tell her that I cashed out on it until like this year because she didn't realize that. She was like, don't you own Bitcoin? I said, yeah, I cashed out and bought a house in Virginia with it. And she's like, what? You know, no wonder we got that big old house. I'm like, yeah. So I took that 20,000, I cashed out, put it on a house in Virginia, and bought us a nice for our first big house. So that was our first nice size house that we got, and that was the second time I invest. So it's been crazy.
So this is the key. Based on what Gabe was saying, property, assets, investments. If you're scared, it's always good to just to get educated and then go and take a risk. And because you never know unless you try. And
Risk.
if you never try, then you'll never know.
Risk. Yeah. So I risk, I educated risk. That's what I would tell people, educated risk. So, just what you wouldn't lose. I had no thoughts that it would be, that Bitcoin would do that. I just read two. I mean, people read 20 and 30,000 books, and I only read like 4 or 5. But that was enough knowledge for me to say, okay, I just started making decisions. And that's just the difference. Again, just made a decision like, hey, all right, I'm willing to risk $1,000. So I bought a coin. Who knew almost 6 years later, the thing blows up to $20,000. At the time, we was looking to move. Again, like I said, my wife like, you're just blessed and highly favored. Things just work out. And I was just like, I guess.
Well, let's do this. Let's tell them at where you are now. I mean, because you done went through where you started, then you progressed on how you got to be financial educated or have financial literacy.
For sure.
Then you took us through some assets, because you read the books and you became financial educated, then you was able to get assets and investments.
Right.
And you bought a couple of houses. So now where are you at now? Where's your journey now?
I done went through my life so quick. If I went through my life, it'd be a long story. But now I just retired. So that house I bought in Virginia, I sold it for a large sum, took that money and basically put it back in the market. I made preparations because at that time I was still active duty in the Navy. Along that time, I basically was saving, put things in my TSP. I invested obviously in stocks. I also had an LLC. I was doing apps on iPhones with one of my best friends. I mean, he does it more than I do, but I know that I help invest in that. And then I just basically where I am now is I just retired last year for 22 years in the Navy. My wife just retired this year from 20 years in the Navy. And currently we bought a house in Texas. And believe it or not, I'm 100% disabled vet. And now I'm able to sit and live from the investments throughout the years that I've done. And now I get to figure out what I want to be when I grow up again. And with the investments that I did successfully tend to achieve, I'm able to retire and live at home, stress-free. I'm able to do the things that you dream about. You know, I wake up every morning and fix my kids' lunch and send them off to school. I get to go to the PTA meeting. I get to wake up when I want to.
Say it again. Wake up when you what?
Wake up when I want to. I'm
Okay.
40 and I'm 45. I could have retired at 41, but I stayed in for 2 more years because my wife, so I just kind of matched hers. But I just turned 45 and I am currently pretty much almost financially free. So what I tell people is that there is nothing that can stop you from being who you want to be in this world. It's you who give yourself limitations. That is, you know, and I can tell you, I came from, you know, not from the poorest situation, but definitely from a struggling thing to now. I know what success is. I know what freedom is. And believe you me, I would never, I wouldn't give it up for the world. There's nothing I would do different. You know, the struggles was what made me realize that, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So I tell people that the military may not be for you, but you got to look at it like this. You have the 20-year plan or you got a 65-year plan. And that's where you got to pick, because the military give you 20 years. I mean, you got 20 years to get right.
That's right.
Or you go to the civilian world, you have 65 years to get right. I personally take the 20-year road.
And so now, since you did that, and now you're able to live like you dream.
Yes.
So, I mean, no alarm clock waking you up. You wake up when you want to. You know, you don't have to go punch a clock.
No.
But who would have thought that your beginning, that you would have saw where you're at now at your end, when you know where you are now?
Oh man.
Who would have thought that, right?
Who would have thought that? I know my cousin didn't think that. True story. You know, I came home one year, and at this point, I've been in the Navy for a few years, and I come home just came home to visit family, and my mom liked to have little get-togethers at the house. So he comes over with his girlfriend, and he's sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and I come outside, yo, what's going on, cuz? How things going? And we're just having a good conversation. And I don't know how to take this, but he turns to me and he looks and he's like, man, G, you the only dude I know that ever did anything in the Navy or in the military. And I looked at him and I was kind of confused. Like, I don't know whether to take that as an insult or, you know, be thinking as a compliment. I mean, because some people don't think underneath that you're going to be successful just because they are. And not saying that he's not successful. He's successful in his own right, but I never forgot that. And I was just kind of like shocked because my wife was like, dang, what did he think he was not going to become? Because like I said, we struggled. And my uncle was very well off. So I'm assuming in his mind that he thought that I was going to probably end up on the same boat or have the same kind of similar outcome. And that's not the case, because I've owned over 4 houses and he's owned 1. You know, so you know how the tables have turned, you know, so it's kind of irony, you know, just like, okay. So
well, I tell you what, Gabriel, I mean, your story is enough to inspire somebody. If they're not doing something, that you take the first step to just gain some financial wisdom so you can start doing something. Because if you never do nothing, then you will never achieve nothing.
That is true.
So your story is pretty magnificent there. So tell me, so Gabriel, so if you could leave any advice you would for anybody in the audience, what would your advice be? What would your advice be?
My advice would be there's nothing that you personally cannot achieve in this world. There's nothing preventing you from doing anything. It's only a mindset. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people who have the crab in the barrel mindset where they are stuck. What I mean is stuck in historical purgatory where everything is against them and nothing's for them. And we as a society have to get away from things that's happened in the past and act as if there's nothing for the future. And for some odd reason, people that I run into tends to think that that is the reason that they're not going to be successful, because of who they are, the color of their skin, and the things that they don't do or don't know. And that's far from the truth, because there is someone in your life that'll help you get over those kind of humps. There are things in your life that you could use to better yourself. And I'm a living testimony that, hey, you can come from rags to riches and not have to sit here and think that you are not going to be able to be successful in this society. I've been around the world, ladies and gentlemen, and America, way the best, far felt the one of the best countries in the world. I've seen different countries, and I can tell you that the liberties, the freedoms that we have here, bar none, tops everything. So take advantage of it. There's a reason why people come here. It's a reason. I promise you, it's a reason. And if you take that and you find you some mentors, and man, they don't even have to know they're your mentors, and you'll be able to be successful. I promise you, you can do it. Just a little bit of hard work and work smarter, not harder. That's I know it's a lot, but
no,
I hope
that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. I'm
hope that.
And from another veteran to you.
Hey, you're an inspiration, man. I'm telling you,
yes.
you and what you and your wife are doing are very it's phenomenal. And I happen to meet other veterans like myself, that's like myself, that's, you know, I don't like to pull the race card, but, you know, a lot of, for some odd reason, people of color think that we are stuck in purgatory and that we're not able to become anything besides a hooper or a rapper, you know, when there are far more accessible things that we can become other than those two those two options. You know,
yes.
so
Gabriel, one more thing, and I know we know you're a YouTuber, right? So if somebody want to see your YouTube because you're a gamer, how would they go to find you?
Oh, I am. So you can find me on Mr. It's Too Easy. So that's Mr. Space It's ITZ2, the number 2, Easy EAZY at YouTube or Twitch. I stream on both, as well as I put content for some creepy TikTok. So if y'all into conspiracy theories, because I do hold a security clearance and I do know some things. So we do be doing some conspiracy. Yes. I do be, you know, so come out there and check me out. You can kiss it and dismiss it. That's what we're doing.
Well, Gabriel, listen, I want to thank you for joining me on Bartelle's Money Talk. I mean, your story is very inspirational, and thank you for taking the time to come on and just have this conversation and share some of your experiences. I really appreciate it. And if you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. And
please like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, please. And we'll be back again for more content on Bartelle's Money Talk. Until next time, see you then.
Out.